Hello, it has been a long time, probably like a year or so I've done a live. Maybe I did one in between then and now, but today is a really special day for me and just thinking about how I want to celebrate it. I share my story quite often, especially on YouTube, a lot of podcast interviews, and of course at IONS and some small group discussions as well. But it is the 8th year anniversary of my near-death experience, the anniversary of when I returned from beyond the veil. And I am really excited about this 8th year because according to PMH Atwater's research, and I believe research of others, the 7th year mark is really, really hard for near-death experiencers. And I had no idea what was awaiting me. I had no idea why NDErs got really, sometimes really depressed and even suicidal. But it was actually kind of on the radar to watch for it. But that kind of slipped with all of the crazy things that happened within the last year. So I first want to start by saying when I came back, I was not happy. If you read my post earlier this morning, I was not happy. I was not given a choice to come back to this earth or not. I was forced to, or not even forced, just I didn't know that there was even an option. And the life that I lived before my near-death experience was full of illness, full of pain, full of abuse, full of trauma, and full of heaviness and darkness. A lot of darkness that is beyond worldly, even dark entities and dark apparitions, just crazy paranormal stuff, as well as just the heaviness that Earth has in general. So when I left this body and I left this realm and experienced nothing but love, curiosity, and joy, if I had a choice, I wouldn't have come back. And when I came back, it was really, really difficult for me for the first year or two. And I really, really, really wanted to go back there. I did not want to be a part of this human condition or this human experience or any of it. And even though a lot of the previous darknesses had left, I still felt the heaviness of the world. It took me a few years to realize what had happened and accept what had happened, but it would take me even a couple more years to learn what the heck I was supposed to do with it. And as many of you know, I am now a transitional guide and a death and spiritual doula. I've kind of condensed it into just saying transitional guide because I help people with all transitions of life, whether it's transitioning from this world to the world beyond, or a spiritual awakening, or finding your purpose, breaking soul contracts. All of those are major transitions. Breaking illness, breaking chronic illness cycles. I love to do that as a traditional guide now. So let's talk about year 7, because that's really why I jumped on here. A year ago, when it was my 7th year anniversary, I was like, I'm doing pretty good. I feel pretty okay. Don't feel like this year is going to be too crazy. I'm not depressed. I'm not suicidal. Maybe I'm not the statistic that is listed in several research papers, which I am actually now a part of. I think I've made it to 3 or 4 actual published research papers now, which is super exciting. That has happened within the last year as well. So there's been really good parts to last year, but I want to start with the heavy parts. So I did heal from myoclonus dystonia after 22 years of dealing with it, after my NDE, after brain surgery. I healed from brain surgery, healed from all of that. And I thought, yes, chronic illness is out of my life. Illness is out of my life. Oh, but I guess I wasn't done learning. Last year, I would end up being diagnosed with 2 more illnesses, both fatal, where myoclonus dystonia was not considered a fatal condition, even though it was partially responsible for my NDE. I got diagnosed with diabetes insipidus, also known as arginine vasopressin deficiency. My pituitary gland does not create the hormone, antidiuretic hormone anymore. So I have crazy electrolytes that can very easily lead to electrolyte imbalance and death. But it was really well managed with just this pill, and it had no side effects. And I was like, oh, it's magic. This is amazing. And I, just was ready to continue on. But within that, after a few months of starting that medication, I just was so nauseous and my head really started hurting every day. So I saw my endocrinologist again, said, well, sometimes this happens when we treat one of these conditions, another one will unmask. Turns out I would have an even more fatal condition called adrenal insufficiency, where my pituitary gland no longer signals to create cortisol, which can lead to adrenal crisis, and I'm sure you guessed it, death. But, also treated just with, low dose steroids, but for the rest of my life. And now I have to wear this fancy little bracelet. I didn't understand why I had to wear this fancy little Metalert bracelet, but we'll get to that. What also happened in last summer, I ended up in emergency surgery. I knew something was wrong, and I was listening to my intuition. I didn't want to seem like a hypochondriac, though, so I went to my primary care physician first. She sent me to the ER. The ER did a scan. They're like, but the radiologist isn't really in. It's late Friday night, and, it just looks like a cyst ruptured, and it'll go away in 3 or 5 days. That was Friday, and I'd already been dealing with this pain for a week and a half, and my pain threshold is usually pretty high, and I was like, I cannot deal with this anymore. And on Monday morning, as soon as the OBGYN's office opened, I called them and said, I was in the ER. I think something's wrong. They got me in the next day for 2 different ultrasound types and a right back-to-back appointment. I go into the doctor's office or the doctor's room, and the nurse looks at me and says, have you eaten today? I knew that was not a good sign. I've had enough medical history to know that means you're going in for surgery. Sure enough, she's like, brings the doctor in right away. The doctor said, I'm going to keep this short. Have you eaten today? No. Good, because I called the OR, and you are to go straight from my office to the hospital. Do not stop. Do not pass go. Do not eat anything. And when I got to the hospital in registration, there was a huge, huge amount of people there. And I thought, okay, it's going to take a while to get in. Nope. They called me immediately and said, I got a call from upstairs. You are going into surgery. I had just enough time to call and or send an email and apologize to the nonprofit I was applying at that I was going in for emergency surgery and I couldn't make our interview, and tell one of my friends, Dr. Mullaney, that I was going in for emergency surgery. And I think that's about it. Like, I think I may have gotten a small Snapchat out. Like, it happened so fast that I didn't even have time to tell anybody. Surgery went well, but at that point, my bowels had been blocked. My ovary was starting to rupture, and it had so much torsion that it lost blood flow. So I almost lost bowel and ovary that day, but I listened to my intuition and made it through, and ended up hopping on a plane 48 hours to go deliver some speeches at the IANS conference. And everyone was absolutely shocked that I was there having emergency surgery just 48 hours before. And it was a beautiful experience. I was met with all the love and all the support that you expect out of a nonprofit organization such as IANS, the International Association for Near-Death Studies. So those are kind of some good things and bad things. I also, on Thanksgiving last year, opened up as a psychic medium out of the blue. I was invited to my sister's boyfriend's family's house for Thanksgiving, and there was this lady that was just so chatty and so pushy, and she needed to talk to everyone there. And I had no idea who these people were, and they confirmed everything I saw and everything she said, and it was just a wild few hours. That also caused like a lot of craziness for a while. Then I go to Puerto Rico and forget my steroid medication. And I thought I packed it, I thought I counted it out, but it looked almost identical to another medication I had. And I brought the wrong one. But I didn't know how serious adrenal insufficiency was. And I would find out in Puerto Rico, where my body just started shutting down. I could hardly walk. I was really nauseous for a couple days. I just had no energy. It felt like my energy was being drained. And I went into adrenal crisis on the way home. And afterwards, my doctor said, that's why you wear this, so people can help you. But I have what I really want to share, which I'll still get to. I've got one more crazy incident about the last year. And that was a car accident that my boyfriend and I were involved in early March. We ended up with a major concussion, already on top of my brain surgery and other TBIs, and sprained everything. My cervical, lumbar, and thoracic spine were all sprained, and I had bruised ribs and everything. I hit my head on the window and the dash during the accident, totaled my car. Everything was not our fault. It was, we still don't know what that guy was thinking behind us. So anyways, not our fault, but another huge pivotal point. And I got really, really depressed because 2 more fatal conditions, emergency surgery, diagnoses for my mom that were, pretty scary. Diagnoses for me that were pretty scary. I did start the new job with the nonprofit. They did wait to interview me after I recovered, and I have been working with them since October 1st and absolutely love them. So that's been a huge blessing. I also started dating my current boyfriend around October 1st, so a lot of big changes. Oh, and another great thing, my sister and I took our dream vacation to Spain for 10 days to celebrate both our birthdays. So all of this beautiful ups and these crazy downs, it was really hard to handle. And I did come into a depression, and it was really hard for me to just continue. And I had completely forgotten about the warning of depression and suicidal ideation and how hard year 7 can be for NDEers until this morning when I was reflecting, which is what I'm going to use to transition to all of the amazing things that have happened. So, survived 2 fatal diagnoses, survived emergency surgery, had a blast at IANS and had a blast in Spain with my sister, met an amazing, amazing man. I ended a pattern of abusive relationships before I met him. And because I ended that pattern, I believe that's why I have been given this opportunity to experience what a healthy relationship is like. And I am just so full of gratitude for him enjoying all the ups and being there for me through all the crazy downs, and especially when I was not my best self, when I was really, really struggling, didn't blink an eye. And I just really, really appreciate that. So broke patterns, survived illnesses, survived a car crash, survived an adrenal crisis, survived the opening up as a psychic medium and actually embracing it, understanding what a real partnership is and what that looks like and how that feels. I've really found out who is actually in my inner circle, who is there instead of just beyond the words, or, the random message here and there, or, seeing something happened and, just full of fakeness and surface level interactions. I found out people came out through the woodwork for me through a bunch of these different experiences, people I didn't expect, people I didn't know would care, and the people I thought would care and would reach out didn't. So I also found my, inner circle and solidified that. And, of course, my support from my family has never relinquished. They've supported me through everything that was crazy before my NDE. They were there for me during the crazy after my NDE. And they were there for me in this last year of just absolute insanity. But going into year 8 of after my NDE, I am so excited to help people transition through whatever they're going through in this life. I am excited to just keep telling my story and keep inspiring people. We just won my 3rd book award and my mom's first for our co-authored Wired to Be Dysfunctional. White Flame was my first book award about my NDE experience. Leads to Nowhere also has a book to Nowhere that's more of how we create our reality and how our thoughts create our simulation. I'm really excited about that. I am excited about what all the good things that are going to come this year and getting to have those moments with my family and my partner and the beauty of this world and really getting to enjoy it. Go sailing again, paddleboarding like crazy, doing some amazing hikes, doing some amazing exploring, talking again at IANS in Chicago. It is Labor Day weekend, and I will be speaking at least on the NDE panel again, which I'm so excited for. A lot of beautiful things come from that panel, even though it's the distressing NDEs. And if you're around Chicago, I invite you to come. I'm just beyond excited. Also working on a few other projects in the background that I'm excited to announce when time is right. And just really excited that I made it through year 7. And I know I'm going on and on and on, but year 7 was just so crazy. And to reflect back and think that, you know, I was warned. There's research papers that year 7 is so hard, and you know, I fell victim to it in a way. But I want to just celebrate the fact that I did survive, and I only did so because of the great amount of support I had through my partner and my family and my close friends and all of that. So this is really not a, you know, woe is me. It's just like, holy moly, I made it through year 7. Here's to year 8. And I wanted to come and share my excitement for this next year with everybody. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, shoot me a message. I'd be happy to chat. Thanks for listening.